Today on For What It's Nerd, we're going to be doing a book haul video. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and I feel like I have a lot to show you guys regards a lot of comics that I've got. As you guys know, I do subscribe to the Legend of Batman collection that is coming out currently, and then I have been subscribing for a long time to the Marvel Legendary collection, which I have a number of here. I haven't been buying many books other than these at the moment. I'm tapped out on reading a lot at the moment. I haven't got as much time as I'd like. Too much to do, too much to plan for and try and finish it, etc., etc. So, long story short, busy life. Haven't bought many books. Trying to get through Audible books, not succeeding. These comics come anywhere. So they're kind of just, they arrive every month, and I'm like, yeah, let's add them to the backlog. So we're going to go through them, discuss them a little bit, and yeah, we'll go from there. So first off, I received this month, alongside the Legend of Batman, I received this bookend. Now, it actually looks really nice. It's very simple, but I really like the cutout of the bat symbol. And to be honest, I like simple more. The ones I got with the Marvel Legendary Collection, I actually really like the Marvel Legendary Collection, by the way. But they did like ones with cutouts, and Spider-Man and Venom were like hanging out the side. It's just not conducive to putting on a shelf. This is much better for a shelf. So that is that. I think it's kind of shitty that they only sent one at a time. But I think it's to keep you subscribed to the the book releases, basically. So I get it, I understand it, but I was going to be doing that anyway. So, anyway, so when you get the Legend of Batman, typically the issues are like this. Hardback, smaller issues. These ones, however, these two that I'm going to show you guys first, are the kind of like upgraded ones. You can get a few more like special edition ones if you paid a little bit extra. And so these ones have dust jackets, and they're also they're related to Batman, but slightly away from Batman. Like, of course, as you can see here, Year One, Robin, and Batgirl. So let's read the blurb of this one. Left an orphan by mobsters' machinations, young Dick Grayson is taken under the wing of Batman's alter ego, Bruce Wayne, who trains him to become his partner in crime fighting. Robin Grayson's first patrol. Robin. Oh, I read that wrong. Robin. I was thinking Robin Grayson. Robin. Grayson's first patrol over the rooftops of Gotham City will prove to be a baptism of fire. And then you've got Batgirl, Year One. After graduating college in her teens, Barbara Gordon hopes to follow in her father's footsteps and serve in Gotham City's police department. But when her plans are derailed, Barbara takes on wow, I really can't speak today. The crime-fighting identity of Batgirl. Suddenly, she is thrown into conflict with Batman and in the crosshairs of Gotham City's supervillains. So, let's have a look at a little bit of art in here. It's very simple style, but I love that. This is probably one of my favorite comic book styles. I think photorealism in comics is like not photorealism, but like when they try and like color it too much, I don't like it. I like this more. I enjoy this more. Don't get me wrong, I think you can have more detailed styles, but simplistic I think always works out. This is quintessential comic, right? Let's have a look at some of the Batgirl stuff as well. Yeah, same. Look at this. Really nice. Really nice. So I'm excited to read these. So the reason I got into these comics, the Batman one specifically, is that Batman is a shorthand for me into DC. I've played a lot of Batman games. I know relatively a lot about Batman compared to a lot of the other superheroes in DC. Like I say, from Arkham and stuff like that. So I feel like I can use Batman as a shorthand to kind of get into the DC universe a lot more, because it's something I do want to get into. I've always been a Marvel person, but DC is seemingly starting to be on the rise again with Superman coming out, etc. So I wanted to kind of get myself a little bit more acquainted. So Batman was the perfect way to get into it. What I like about these is it gives me that next step. It allows me to look at characters like Batgirl and Robin without feeling like I'm moving too far too fast, because like I'm still kind of in that oh, that's a gorgeous picture. Look at that. That is really nice. Love that. It's still a shorthand for Batman. like I'm still close to Batman, so I can kind of still understand the universe I'm in. And then eventually I'm hoping to kind of get into some like Wonder Woman comics and some Superman comics, etc. But that'll come with time. But definitely looking forward to reading that one eventually. Looks really nice, beautiful. I love I love the style of Gotham in general. Actually, I love how like the grim darkness of Gotham. And I think even though this style is still quite colorful and relatively, I mean, look there, yeah, case in point, relatively well put together. That is like, you know, it's got that kind of zaniness, but also the kind of grim darkness of Gotham, because you can play Gotham two ways, I think, and I feel like that's what you see in a lot of media surrounding Gotham. This next one, slightly damaged at the top there, which is a little bit annoying for me, but what can you do? Catwoman, Her Sister's Keeper, and When in Rome. Let's read the back first. So this one, see, this is what I mean, right? This is the stuff I don't love. This is a bit too much for me, art style wise. But there you go. In Her Sister's Keeper, Selena Kyle rises from the sordid streets of Gotham's east side to claim a new identity for herself. In this powerful version of Catwoman's origin, inspired by the rise of a bat-themed vigilante in her city, Selena... Oh, sorry, I've read that all wrong. Inspired by the rise of a bat-themed vigilante in her city, Selena defies the underworld and the law to protect her friend Holly from exploitation. When in Rome finds Catwoman in the Eternal City, trying to uncover the mystery of her past and her connections to its crime family, the Falcones. Aiding her are the Riddler and a hitman known as the Blonde. But on this dangerous quest, who is friend and who is foe? Have a look at the art in here. So this art style, obviously a little bit older, or like more, or like an older inspiration, because that's like your typical comic book style. And I think that holds up relatively well. I think it's quite colorful. I feel like we've come a long way in terms of how we style characters these days, but this is very quintessential, like comics from back in yon day. So I'm interested in reading that. And this actually does a better job, in my opinion, of like, so like, oh, don't get me wrong, that was a little bad perspective there, but compared to that back cover, this is actually much more nice. This is more like, you know, like, look at those. Like, those are pretty pictures. I'm probably spoiling myself a little bit here, but that's okay. I'm doing it for you guys. But yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Again, these are characters I don't know much about. Like, I know a bit about Catwoman, not so much about Cheetah, etc. So here, perfect example of me getting to learn a bit about Cheetah. And then if I get into like reading a Wonder Woman comic, I have a shorthand for Cheetah as well. So it's really about expanding my DC knowledge over time. And this looks like a great way to do it. And some of these panels are just gorgeous. If the art's right, do you know what? Like, I actually genuinely believe this for comics. I don't think it happens with, I think you can have, so like, it happens in gaming as well. So in gaming, I find you can have a game that looks great, and the gameplay, if it's not too bad, you'll skate by. You can have a bad game, a game that looks bad but plays well, and people will still enjoy that as well. I think with comics, it's actually a little bit different. I think the story can be relatively bad or relatively gimmicky, as long as the pages look nice. I think people with comic books want to see a pretty picture. Like, I think that the picture says more than the story. Not necessarily always. I think, you know, you don't want to assassinate a character, etc. But I think if you've got a somewhat middling story and great art, that goes well. If you've got a somewhat middling art and a great story, I don't think that translates as well for comics, in my opinion. It's the same again with like making YouTube videos and making videos in general. The first thing I got, like not me personally, but this first advice that I had I'd found online was that always upgrade your audio first. If you're going to upgrade anything, audio, because your audio is really the most important thing. People can deal with a bit of grainy footage. They don't want to hear their ear getting blasted out. So, you know, it's the same with everything. I think there's some kind of like the visual, or kind of the most important part of that medium is always the most important part to focus on, if that makes sense. This next one I'm really interested in. I already read the blurb for this one on my own time, but the city has two new heroes, Gotham and Gotham Girl, a young brother and sister with Superman level powers. The good news is they are devoted to Batman and want to emulate his deeds. The bad news is they are naive and rash, an easy target for evil manipulators. As Amanda Waller of Task Force X seeks to bring Gotham under control, Dr. Hugo Strange and Psycho Pirate have a dark destiny in mind for the new heroes. Can the Dark Knight prevent a looming catastrophe? I actually think this concept's actually hilarious. It's kind of like it's kind of, even though they're kind of meant to be like Superman in terms of what they're saying here, it's kind of, I kind of find it funny that they're almost like it's taking it's satire about like Captain America and Captain Britain and Captain wherever they're from, right? It's a little bit of satire on that, in my opinion. Like there's these Gotham and Gotham Girl. Like, I don't know, but I find it an interesting concept, and I'll be interested to read about them. See, this is where sometimes that kind of more detailed style works well, I think. Like, stuff like this, I actually really like. I don't like it when it's too gritty, so to speak, but I do like this. And like, oh, look at those panels. That is beautiful. I really like this one. That's a really nice panel. Yeah. I'll be interested to see what this story is about. Oh, that's a really cool image. Look at that one. I've never heard of these characters before, by the way, so I think that's even more cool. That like again, getting to learn more characters, getting to learn about what's going on in this universe, getting to, and look at these like alternate arts. Oh my gosh, there's just so much good art. That one's quite funny, actually. Oh my days. But like, yeah, like like all these are nice, but like I'm trying to see if I can find one that I can show you guys what I mean. Like that I dislike. Let me see if I can find one. Like that's a bit too much for me personally. I don't dislike that piece of art specifically, but that's a bit much. I like it more like this. Is the one specifically like what I dislike? No, I mean these are all very nice actually. To be fair. I think I typically struggle with the ones like the on the back of the Catwoman one that we just saw. So that one very. I think that's probably the one I'm most anticipating on reading because like I almost like, it's like Star Wars to me, right? Star Wars is like a space western, but like it has the Force, right? I like seeing Batman in, and also I've just realized that Y is in the way. I like seeing Batman in circumstances altogether uncanny for him. I kind of like it more when there's a little bit of like craziness going on, whether it be magic or whether it be, you know, stuff like that. I kind of like that stuff myself personally. I like it when there's a little bit more uncanniness. Don't get me wrong, I like, for example, the Robert Pattinson Batman movie they did. I thought that was actually really good and like very grounded and in a good way, right? But I do kind of like it when you put a character that is like altogether grounded into a situation where like it's like putting Han Solo around the Force, if that makes sense. So this one is Prey, and that cover alone is glorious. But let's read the blurb. I apparently can't read when it comes to reading blurbs. The Dark Knight is bringing justice to the streets of Gotham City, but his one-man war has its consequences. Psychologist Hugo Strange is on his case with a diagnosis of Batman as a power-mad, disturbed mind, a vigilante who must be tracked down and unmasked. The hunting of Batman begins, as Strange turns the whole city against him and creates a sinister shadow of the Batman, the brutal Night Scourge. Meanwhile, sorry, I've read that wrong. Again, as Strange turns the whole city against him and creates a sinister shadow of the Batman, the brutal Night Scourge. Meanwhile, the Gotham police set up a special task force to shut down the vigilante, headed up by James Gordon, the only ally Batman has. This is falling a little bit more on the side of the stuff I don't love. It's a little too toned down for me. I don't think it's bad, but I like an art style that pops. and I feel like at certain periods there's kind of this phase of going through something that doesn't quite as pop as much. It's what's ironic though is that this cover really hits hard. Yeah, I don't know. Like these pages aren't as appealing to me. We'll see. We'll see if I like the story. Again, the story can change it a little bit, but like color makes me happy. This hasn't got much color. Okay, right, that one's cool. And this one is Neil Adams, which I believe is just like the collection of like Neil Adams's yeah. So the historic first Batman comics by legendary artist Neil Adams features a series of stunning team-ups. The Dark Knight joins forces with Superman to face revenge squads. I was like, what the hell? Revenge squads dedicated to their destruction. Supernatural forces make Gotham an even more dangerous place to be as Deadman helps Batman face a deadly crime syndicate. The monstrous threat of Hellgramite needs the attention of both Batman and the enigmatic Creeper. The Flash steps in to help tackle an invincible thug, while Sergeant Rock pays off a debt that goes all the way back to World War II. This is what I mean. This is the stuff I'm interested in reading. Again, still a muted palette, but I'm interested in the idea of like Flash and Batman. I've always liked that kind of pairing. I also like Superman and Batman. Obviously, they're naturally a good pairing. So this will be a good one for me, again, to get a little bit of an idea of Flash and Superman in the comics. I've obviously seen them in movies, etc. But yeah, so even Batman isn't safe from failure. The best of the brave and the bold, number 5. Yeah, I like this one a little bit more. Batman and Teen Titans. That one will be cool. No one lays a hand on my son while I live. Oh my. Yeah, no, this looks like it's going to be a fun one. Again, it kind of goes back and forth. Some of the art looks great. Some of it a little bit more like something that I'm not, again, super in tune with. But I can appreciate that this is where comics kind of came from, you know? So there's like a little bit of both there. So that is the end of our Batman run there. Very excited to read a lot of those. Now we're on to our Marvel run here. And these are, I think they're back to front actually. Well, some of them are. Yeah, okay, right, let me just swap those out. Okay, so first off we have Marvel Zombies, which of course people have kind of had a little bit more of an exposure to in the modern age with the episode of the What If, but also the fact that they're going to be doing a Marvel Zombies show before long. I've actually read this before, so this was one where I've already read. So like with Marvel Legendary Collection, I haven't read like hordes upon hordes of Marvel comics. I've read I would say a sensible amount, a moderate fans amount. But Marvel Zombies was one I actually have read prior. So this was one where like I've got the this version of it, and I've already read it, so I know all this. I know the whole story. I don't get me wrong, I think it actually is a really cool story, and I think what's even more cool is the way that they kind of really go into it. They make the humor, like the fact that Janet's in this suit and like she becomes good again, and like the actual like the levels the story goes to are really cool. And I kind of like, contrary to what I've just said with the Batman books there and with general comics, I think this style does need to be kind of more of that kind of that saturated palette, that grim sense of things, because it's exactly that. It's a universe where heroes have been turned into horror, right? And so I think this is actually one where I think I give it a pass because they make it look so good. They make it feel sort of really scary, even though it's like that is a gorgeous image again, the Silver Surfer zombified, so I actually really enjoyed when I read this the first time around. I might read it again because I do actually, some of these panels are actually horrendous. When let me find that again, when Peter's being taken over by the hunger, and I think he ends up eating Aunt May, if I remember correctly, right? Oh, he eats MJ, but Aunt May is watching. Yeah. But Peter has this kind of more semblance of of consciousness throughout, which is actually really horrifying. So yeah, that one's a really fun one. I actually have the board game of Marvel Zombies as well, so that's something I really relate to, which is funny because I don't usually love zombies as a concept, but I think it's because they don't do, obviously it's because it's superheroes, they don't do zombies like zombies would be, and so I actually like the idea that it's not your typical zombies shambling about the place, then lurching forward every now and again as humans try and defend themselves against the apocalypse. No, in this universe, everything's already gone because everyone is zombies because they're all superheroes. Fear itself, I think I read this one back in the day as well. So Fear itself, ancient evils threaten the Marvel Universe as gods and monsters assail the Avengers. When the Red Skull's daughter Sin summons the god of fear, all hell breaks loose on Earth, and Captain America must lead his team into a seemingly hopeless battle. Odin's rage fuels a tragic tale for our Titans, and Asgard's fate will never be the same. Matt Fraction and a wealth of talent take Earth's mightiest heroes on a realm-spanning crossover event deep into the heart of Fear itself. I've read this one way back, way back, and as such, I don't remember any of it. But I kind of like a crossover story. Anything that makes you feel like you're in a big comic universe is always good for me. And I kind of like, I was going to say I like Red Skull, but that's probably not the right words. I find Red Skull and Sin to be quite interesting as characters, as villains, because like you've got someone who is so they're very irredeemable as villains, right? Like I think we need more villains like that again in the modern age. I feel like we've come too far into the but they're misunderstood, and yeah, some villains are misunderstood, and a good villain actually thinks they're doing the right thing in their story. But I think sometimes you do want a villain that's not as good. Nice to see Red She-Hulk and Hulk there. Titania there as well. Be interesting to see what this. I feel like, do you know when you look at something, you're like, I feel like I know this, but also I clearly don't. It's been so long, so I will have to get back into this and see what's going on. But the colors look really good in this. The idea that there's like Asgardian stuff going on at the same time as Avengers stuff, at the same time as Captain America stuff. This sounds like a comic for me. It is a comic for me. I've read it before again, but I'm looking at it. I'm like, have I though? I have, but have I though? You know? So, but it looks really fun. Yeah. Okay. That one's on the list. Well, all of them are, but then we have Old Man Logan. Now, this is incredibly ironic because I feel like I know Old Man Logan so well because like I've seen so many comic panels of it. I've seen Logan the movie. I have like Old Man Logan's in a lot of games and like stuff like that. I haven't read the comic. You know, I actually know a lot about this era, just like from like the fact that they've done other people in this style as well. But I haven't actually read it. So, in the Marvel Universe's bleakest future, what happened to the Wolverine is a mystery. All that remains is the grizzled old man Logan in a scarred world rife with uncanny dangers. As the former X-Man and Avenger embarks on a quest to save his family, he'll encounter old allies and warped version of America's greatest threats. Unearth one of the comic's darkest secrets as Logan hits the open road to the wasteland one last time. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Look at this type of stuff straight away, like glorious art. And just really taking some of the quintessential ideas of Marvel to the extreme, you know? I think this is why, like, you know, Marvel doesn't do dark as much as DC. But I kind of like it when it does, because I feel like Marvel's characters are typically so goody, right? They're usually really good people. And so when you see something that's a little bit opposite to that, right? It's good. It's interesting. I'm moving away from those symbols as quickly as possible. But yeah, it's interesting. And so I like to see how these things go. You're seeing Hulk, you're seeing Captain America, you're seeing I think earlier on, what did we see there? We saw like some kind of Venom character there. I think Mr. Sinister was there, Emma. So you're seeing a lot of characters here that'll be like really interesting to pick up on and see where they're at during this timeline. Yeah, so that's one I am really interested in. I'm sure I'll get around to it very soon. It's a big one as well. It's quite large. I think they've collected all of it. Yeah, I think so. And then last one, Nova Origin. Blast off with a brand new Nova. Let me start that again. Blast off with a brand new Nova. Sam Alexander is about to take flight. A teenager trapped in small town Arizona. Sam's being haunted by his father Jesse's ramblings of life among the stars as one of the Nova Corps. Little does he realize that Jesse's tall tales are all true, and they're about to catch up with him. Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness welcome readers to a whole new universe of wonder and a front row seat to intergalactic adventure. So Richard Rider's the first Nova, and this is like another Nova, I believe, if I'm thinking correctly. So it's funny because a lot of people know this Nova specifically because this Nova is the one that shows up in like the Spider-Man kids shows and stuff like that, and I think people typically think of this guy when they think of Nova, but I don't really know much about this Nova. I don't really know much about Richard Rider either, to be fair, but I am interested to see what happens with this because I think the thing is, I think what's interesting is that, you know, when you reinvent a character, or rather give the mantle of a character to someone new, they're that character for a generation, right? So like, this Nova is for a lot of people the Nova, right? I think to a degree it happens with Spider-Man as well. I think Spider-Man is a little bit different though. I think you have a Spider-Man for a generation, you have a Spider-Man for people who feel less represented by a white Spider-Man, right? And I think that's a little bit different. But yeah, I think it's interesting when someone takes over a mantle. I think it can work or not. Like a lot of people will have, if they're reading more recent X-Men comics, will know that there's two Wolverines. There's your man Wolverine, Logan, and then you have Laura, who is also Wolverine in her own right. You know, so a lot of these characters change over time, and it's interesting to see where they go to and what they become. And I think it's really interesting when you get a new version of like an older character or an older mantle of a character. So it'll be interesting to see about Nova there. But yeah, that's my comics that I've got for this month, so to speak, this current time period. I don't know when I'll next do a book haul. Like I say, it's usually when I have a load of these to like show you guys, because this is like 2 months worth of stuff basically. But yeah, I'm always interested to show you off. I'm always interested to show off some of these books to you guys, and I hope you guys are too. As well as that, of course, we'll be back next week to discuss Ironheart, and then we're kind of really into the big month for this year, July, where we're going to be dealing with Jurassic World, Superman, and the Fantastic Four, which I'm very, very excited about. You guys know I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, and the other two look really good as well. So we will see how that goes. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you soon for more. Bye, guys.